Hey, friends. All right. So here we are, me and an empty seat beside me. But don't worry, she's coming back. So I am really excited to have Tandy Pryor with us today. I have known her through a mastermind networking group of awesome women that I am really, really fortunate to spend a lot of time with. But I'm just going to tell you a bit about. Here she is. Hey, Tandy. I was just interviewing your chair and doing a great job of it. I was super engaged. Yeah, it was great. I was getting feedback. People were like, wow, that chair.
I know.
Oh, wait, I'm not the first person to interview an empty chair. Let's not go there. All right, so let me tell you about Tandy. So for more than a decade, Tandy has helped her clients and audiences transform their lives to live more joyfully and to make more money. Not that, any of us need that. Everybody I know is independently wealthy. We all need some Tandy in our life. She empowers them to use their home or their office space as a vehicle for making radical shifts in their lives, increasing wealth and productivity and peace of mind. Her intuitive advice and insights on how to select clearer boundaries, rediscover personal power, and heal past experiences and fears that have stopped you have been called raw, transformative, hilarious, honest, refreshing, innovative, spot on, and spookily accurate. And I've worked with Tandy, and I can say a hell yes to all of that. Yeah, she was instrumental in. My daughter came in to help me set up my home studio space.
That story.
I know. And I have been talking to Tandy and we've been going over about Feng Shui, and she's going, well, how are you setting up the desk in there? And I said, well, I was going to put this here and this. What do you think of this room? And then she said, well, I shouldn't say, she never says, well, that is no, those are not Tandy words.
No.
She's like, you need to have that desk in the power position.
It would be best to be in the power position.
There's no like, well, you might possibly want to think about maybe doing the power. There's none of that. There's none of that. And my daughter, and if anybody Liz is a little force of nature all in herself. And Liz comes in and I'm like, you're a manifesting generator.
Yeah.
Liz is a generator and I'm a reflector. So I'm like going, okay. So Liz comes in and goes, Mom, we're going to do this for you. And I'm like, great. So all this energy is going along. She's going, okay, the best place to move the desk is against the wall. And I'm going, oh, no. Tandy said that it needs to be in the power position. And Liz is like, no, Mom, it's better to put it here. And then just then Tandy happened to call, and I've got this little FaceTime call with Tandy. And I'm trying to translate between them. And then I just gave up and went, here she is. And then the two of them. And it was like, at the end of the Avengers, when you've got Thanos and all his guys, and then the skies open up and in come all the Avengers, and then you see there's this moment where they're coming together, and that was me holding my phone kind of going, wonder popcorn.
But where did the desk go?
Into the power position. I've never seen anybody have Liz just say, okay, fine.
And you've been unstoppable since.
Yeah, I've just been creating up a storm. And the desk that I've had to make a second office since I've worked with Tandy, but the desk I have now, the way I have it set up in my room, it would have made more sense to face the wall. There's no way I can face the wall. So no, I can see a window. I can see my door, and there's a natural transition that separates this from my room. And then my desk itself, although don't look at it right now because it's a little messy, but the desk, you can't see it. You can't see it, but it is Feng Shuied as well. I have got my little wealth.
Oh, good.
Here. awesome. There's also a live, thriving plant over there. I've got stuff for the romance area. I've got the
You did really well with your building your altars. You were like, of course, as an artist, you took that and took it to I was like, what? I've never seen anybody build something like that.
Yeah, I've got little altars everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have brought all that in, and then I do my own paintings, and the paintings now, depending on the energy with them, will go in different feng shui areas in my home. And there's
nice. Yes. Yeah, I've been seeing those when you put those up. They're beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. So like my prosperity one is one of my favorite ones, and it's over there in the corner. So yeah, every room I kind of block off. It's like, okay, so where is the wealth corner? Where is the relationship corner? Where are the helpful people? And there's areas in my house that, I can't go in and paint a certain color, and I can't, do this or that with, but I can discreetly, put a little crystal here and there, and then I do the big thing that Tandy tells me to do is I clear out the
weave in the magic in. You don't always have to see it.
No, it's in there quietly, because I fire up areas that have too much water energy, but then the other big thing that you talk about, and this was always the piece I was missing with Feng Shui, because I was always trying to do it, and I was sort of half put something here and going, well, that should do it, but I wasn't connecting to the energy, and I had far too much clutter. And since I've been working with you, I actually re-cleaned out my closet because Elizabeth came and she's moved back in, so I gave up half my closet. So it got a little disordered for a while, and I went, nope, can't have that. And the clutter.
Wasn't clutter in your money corner too? Your closet in your money corner?
My closet was in my relationship.
Oh, relationship. Okay, I was trying to remember that. That's right.
Yeah, but there was the money corner in the house. When I did have my office, that was in the prosperity corner, and then downstairs, that's where my studio was. So, a whole lot of stuff. Like, I can just feel everything shifting and moving. And I keep, it's not like it's one and done. There are always things, because I'm always getting more clarity, and I'm always going, you know what? I never really liked Marie Como's "Does It Spark Joy?" because the way she worded it never resonated with me. But the way you talk about, clutter and the power it has over your life was like, oh shit, why would I keep that?
I think everybody has their way of looking at that and seeing it. And, clutter is unloved, unused, stagnant, heavy energy. And it's really important to keep people, places, and things around us that bring your energy up and support you. It's really important.
And then it's also a boundary thing as well, because I found
huge boundary thing.
As I cleared out the clutter, the boundaries in my life became a lot clearer.
Yeah.
And that's always going to be a work in progress for me. And I think it's always going to be a work in progress, for everybody. But
not necessarily. No. I wouldn't say that. The more you do it, the more it becomes like, I was just on another interview, which was wonderful. But she said, I just tell my people to blame me. And I was like, well, that's okay in the beginning. But at the end of it, if you need to say no, or you need to put a boundary up, you need to own it yourself, not blame something else. So maybe in the beginning, when I always say it's like a muscle, that you're exercising the muscle. But when you really learn how to implement the boundaries, it is, it's that old no is a complete sentence.
I love that.
No explanation. Like, you want to give your power away, start explaining anything.
Although I've watched my daughter's husband, and he's great. Someone says, do you want to do something? He's like, no. And then if they push, it's like, because I don't want to.
Yeah.
And no apology for it.
Yeah. That's refreshing, isn't it? We're an agreement society. People want us to agree with them. You can notice right away if somebody was like, you know how it is, and you're like, no, tell me about it. That automatically puts you at a different, and they can even get angry about it, but that's okay. As entrepreneurs, I think one of the biggest things we have to get over is the need to be liked.
Oh yeah, that's a huge thing. People pleasing is.
Yeah. Well, that's what boundaries, people don't like boundaries. As a general rule, people, we train people to behave and treat us in a certain way, and we treat them in a certain way and all of that. But when you change the boundaries, people don't generally like that. I don't find.
I found, yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I've got to say, I've learned so much more about boundaries with you and starting it from a space perspective.
Yeah. Yes.
And just,
it is. It's people, places, and things. Things are, clutter is a boundary issue, big time. Clutter, things, you heard me talking about a past client that wanted a stronger marriage. And when I got
that story, I like that story.
Yeah, well, we were going through talking about the different layout of the room. And of course, I could write a book. Maybe I should write a book on bedside tables and the things I have seen when they're uneven or there is not one. It almost always shows up in the relationship. And she had a rocker. And then the more we talked, it was her ex-husband's mother's rocker by her side of the bed. And that did have a way strange vibe. It was not helping the relationship at all. Did she have to get rid of it? Nah, I don't think she got rid of it, but it didn't need to be there in a place for intimacy. And it was her ex-husband, the first ex-husband, not her current husband. That's just one of so many stories. Yeah. Oh my gosh, do I have them? But that shows, things have meaning. Things around us have meaning. Normally, it's a memory. It could be current, but usually it's a past memory, who you were with, what you were doing, what you weighed, what you looked like, what job you had. And people hold on to things because they're holding on to those parts of their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I am not, I've had one client that was a hoarder and I didn't know it until the session in the house. And that's not my forte, so to speak. But you could tell when I've seen it other times where I think it's possibly going to be an issue, it always starts on the outside parameter of the walls. Things start to be stacked up against it and they go higher and then they come outward. And I've seen it, often in different ways, different people. And, that is like literally a boundary. It's a boundary. It's like insulation from the world.
Yeah, it's based in fear.
Yeah.
And I think, and if you guys are commenting on here, that's lovely. But all I can see is Facebook users. So if you want to ask any questions, put them in the chat. And if you want us to know who you are, just put your name on it. And if you don't want us to know who you are, then go ahead and post a question. But after I talked to you and I really started looking at the stuff I had, like I went at my closet and it was 3 separate goes. And, and the first round took out obvious stuff, just stuff that shouldn't have been in there, messy stuff. And then the second round, I got into these boxes and bins, and I had, so like stuff from old boyfriends.
Yeah.
Stuff from my ex-husband, just, all this. I had, like things from the wedding. And it's like, it's sitting there in my relationship corner. And I'm going, and I was just looking at the amount of shit I was hanging on to.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
Why do I still want this energy in my life?
Yeah.
No. I need to.
No, you don't. And you have to also think about, like, if something happened to you or me or whatever, do our kids want that? That's the way I kind of look at things. Like, if you need to hold on to some of that stuff, a few pieces or something, get a memo box and put a few things in there. But the vast majority of it just doesn't have a space anymore. I've discovered, and some of the people on here may be watching it too, but what's it called? Home Edit on Netflix. I love that show. It's like Marie Kondo for the US, kind of. It's two gals, and they do like normal people houses, and then they do Reese Witherspoon's house closet. And so they have a lot of great ideas. I'm not that an organizational specialist by any stretch. I know the impact. I can read the energy. It's a different blend. I've implemented a lot of their things. I'm good at what I do because I am by far not perfect on the clutter. I'm a pile maker.
Oh yeah. I'm working through those habits as well with our friend Kate Farness.
Oh, it's not going to happen overnight. I'm not saying with you, I mean with me too. Yes, that is not going to happen overnight. And also, I'm not really going to change. That's my natural way of being. But now I look at where I'm starting to put the piles according to the Bagua mat, which we didn't really talk about. But if anybody would like one, let me know and I'll get you a free one. Just let Ruth know or put it in the chat or something.
Yeah, put it in the chat. We can put it up.
Yeah, but it's kind of the map of how to figure out how to create your space for success.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the Bagua map and this, because there are different schools of Feng Shui, and let's talk about the type that you do, which is more Western.
Yeah, it's instinctive Feng Shui. And I learned from one of Denise Lin's top people, what they call them, master teachers. And she's no longer doing it anymore, I don't think. But that was almost like 12 years ago. And at the basic premise of the way that I practice is that you intuitively know what's best for your space. And we honor that. If I come in and say, paint that room red, and you paint red,
yeah, that's not going to work.
It can't be any, there are people that, and different ones with different cures, that they feel like it has to be a certain thing. And all I know is that what I do and what I continue to do, even though sometimes I scratch my head and go, how did that work like that? It works. So no matter who's doing what type of Feng Shui, bottom line, it comes down to, what are your results? I look at it like we're bending the universe. That's my new.
I like that.
Well, oftentimes it's like you're here driving along and the road you need to be on is here. And sometimes just shifting things around lines them up. And they're just that's what I mean about, like, sometimes it's just a simple shift and bam, a check will come in, or that perfect client, and it works. It works.
Oh, and it's so funny because you were along for this ride, but I revamped this whole relationship corner in my room, and it seemed to be going one way. It's like, oh, this is great. But what it did was it cleared that energy out of my life.
Yeah.
In a very, it was a huge release for me. And I discovered, all the stuff that I had been hanging on to. And that one little, that whole relation, I got so much clarity on what is acceptable for me in a relationship. And by, with all the relationship clutter I had around here and all the junk I had around here, cleaning all that out and getting really clear about this person I was in a relationship with, and then being able to let it go. I mean, I hung on there for 5 years.
Yeah.
Putting up.
There were signs probably that you were not. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There were, like, as I look back, they were neon roadside signs that were like Vegas, like signs, like,
oh my gosh,
run now. Yeah. And it was only, can't say, 1000%, but I know that the cascade started, the huge clarity, a lot of the blinders coming off, and, started when I started moving stuff around in my space. But what I was thinking I wanted to talk to you about too, because this group is focused on creativity, and creativity goes with the sacral chakra, so it also works into relationships and sex and all of that. So for say you wanted to do something, you're feeling stuck creatively, there it is. What area in your house do you start looking at, or area in your room, or area in your life?
For creativity?
Yeah.
Oh, with a creativity quadrant, there's 9.
Where is that? And
so right side, halfway back. So it's designed like I talk about it like a brownie cutter, 9 sections. Like take your house from the top and go down. It's right side in the middle. And it's good to have metal in there, and it's good to have pastel colors in there. And whenever I'm coaching somebody around creativity, I want their own creativity in there, whatever it is, even if they don't have a medium, whatever they've done, if it's writing or if it's ceramics when they were in grade school, put some representation of it, or paint something for there. It's important to be it's important to be creative in the creative, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, and the idea of showing up as yourself with your own work.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what it is.
No, But when I've coached people that don't think they're creative, even though everybody has a bit of creativity, right?
Oh yeah.
When I'm coaching them and they don't, there is a lot of like feet in the ground, like, no, I don't have anything. And it's important, especially if your work is about that. It's super important to play in that area. And then the opposing side is family.
Mm-hmm.
The family sector. And that's on the opposite side. And so in order to balance those, you work in both.
So the family center is on the left
Side, middle.
Left middle brownie.
Left middle brownie square. Yes.
I like that brownie analogy.
Yes.
So how do the sectors relate to each other? I mean, is there like a hard line between one and the other, or is it?
But opposing ones usually like intuition and relationship and travel and helpful people and money. And so you kind of work both of those together to get better results. And that's the thing with Feng Shui, no matter which one. Like I was taught by a black hat sect with BTB and instinctive Feng Shui. So there's lots of layering in. And there's layering in around colors. Like when I first got divorced, everything in my house was brown. I had noticed I did restoration hardware colors.
Mm-hmm.
And the hardwood was wood brown, not gray like they do now. Mine isn't still, but it was like a light brown. And then the walls were super warm because I love those earth tones. Like it literally manifested as being stuck in the mud.
Oh.
So I shook it up. I painted all my walls like this pale gray. And then of course that makes art look really good too. That's a good background for art too. But then it balances out. So it's about balancing out too.
Yeah. And color is a huge thing. You don't, like you said, you don't have to paint a wall red. You can pop an accessory in there.
It has a vibration. I tell a story about a woman whose son was really, he really was struggling. He was about 5 maybe. And he just was acting out at Bible school, and he was acting out at school, and he was just an unhappy little guy. And I got to the house and it was painted this vibrant red. I mean, red. His bedroom was.
Oh.
And they never took that into account. And, there's some kids that might not bother, but one that's very sensitive to the vibration of colors and to external stimulation or whatever, for whatever reason, this particular kid was It was not good. So they put this super sagey, soft green in there. And he almost immediately, first of all, he was sleeping, but the bed wasn't positioned well either. So he really wasn't getting the kind of sleep that he needed. So I think the combination of the two of those things, but he really did level out. Yes, he still had some more talking to some people and that type of thing, but it was pretty profound, pretty profound. And, you know, we're talking so much about Feng Shui, but the way that I do Feng Shui is really in unison with coaching.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's really how I work. I do some, I had one today, soul sessions that involve, you know, Feng Shui if people want it and coaching. It's a one-off session, but for the most part, I use their space to help guide me in the coaching process around whatever it is they say they want. So for some reason, I can just really be intuitive in physical spaces around every aspect of their life.
So if you were going to work with someone, where would you start?
Depends on the person. Some people like I have one client that makes so much money that, you know, he doesn't need it. He doesn't even feel like he needs anymore. Right? I mean, what he needed was balance. Mm-hmm. What he needed was better relationships. What he really needed was better boundaries and saying no.
Right.
So his space exposed a lot of that. We started in relationship. Now your office can also show these different areas too. And that's part of my class next week is the monetize your office method. This is part of it. It's like, how do we assess what's going on in your life and business by looking at your space? And depending how willing they are, mm-hmm. you know, is whether we go to their house or the women seem to be more, I work mostly with women, but they're more open about opening up their houses. Because I can see a lot about what's going on from actually seeing this, as you well know.
Yes.
It's intimate work. I don't take it lightly. That's like inviting somebody into your insides. That's the way I look at it. Because I've had clients that tell me, oh, this is wrong. This is what's not going. And I see their space and I know immediately it may be showing up as that, but this is what's really going on.
Yeah. And how are people receiving that? I mean, I suppose that
I haven't had anybody, have I ever? No, I've never had anybody just go, oh, this is crazy. And I've never had that.
No, but you
mean?
Yeah. No, you have, there's a surety and authority when you talk about this.
Yes, and it's true. I've always had that around this because I know it's a natural gift. And I've had people say that isn't right, but I haven't had people blow up the whole way I work ever. And if they say that isn't right every single time, it may be 2 hours, it may be 2 days, but they'll go, guess what? You know, and they'll say what it is. Yeah. And it'll end up having been something about what we were talking about. And I get that. So not everybody is tuned into exactly right then when I'm saying something, because obviously if they could see it for themselves, they would have already taken care of it.
Right. And a lot of times we need somebody's vision or an outside, more objective look at our life, because things that are obvious to, you know, you as about a space or me just about, you know, someone's creativity or embodiment. It's the same way that you looked at my space and went, well, obviously this is what you have to do. And I'm like, really? I didn't.
Yeah.
And
it speak to me. It is like they, I mean, I see it. It's a language that isn't spoken, but I know.
Yeah. So your thing that you have coming up, it's for monetizing your office. Because I know you've powered up front doors.
Well, the monetize your office method is what it's called, and we're going to take in all different types of aspects of that. mean, we're going to talk about boundaries. We're going to talk about sales even within that, but we're going to talk about your path to prosperity. And I'm adding in, so a lot of things are different than I've done in other of these classes, but this one is what I've really noticed is a lack of embodiment in the space. Meaning, and it's just, I'm not quite sure because, you know, my design, human design, it's just going to roll in. But that, like, there's something missing in your space, hint, you. That's basically what the name of it is. And it is about you being missing in your space. Like, people go in and inhabit their homes, inhabit their office, but they're not really inhabiting. They're not comfortable there. They don't want to stay there. They don't have pictures on the wall. They're up against hung on the wall. They're leaned up against the wall. There's unwrapped, unpacked things. There's, you know, all types of ways that it shows up when people aren't embodying their space.
I almost want to take you around and take the computer and go, okay, how am I doing here, Tandy? You know?
Well, we've done that already, right?
Yeah. I don't know if you've done it in this office, though. This one is much smaller, but I think I've done all right with the space.
Well, that's the thing. Once you learn this and you learn the basics of it, no matter where you go or where you always have kind of at least a good overview to get it set up.
And something to strive for, because right now I know that the paper around here has got to be dealt with, just so I can have clarity. And as I go through stuff, it's like, oh, I forgot that was here. This is great. Or why am I still keeping this? Out it goes. So every time I go through things, I get a little more clarity, and I also get more clarity by getting rid of what I don't need.
Yes, I need to do Kate's class too. I like that. I like her work.
Oh, she's fabulous.
Yeah. We're talking about somebody else in our class, Kate Barnes, who is the organization person. I'm not.
I'm not either.
I just know the cost of it. I can read the energy around it. I know many, many layers, but I can't tell you exactly how to do it to clean it up.
No.
I'm never going to be that person, and I'm perfectly fine not being that person.
You know, and I can look at the creativity and ways to pull out what's embodied in you and get you connected to that part of yourself that you have been stuffing down or forgot was there. But I'm not going to do your paper. I can't.
Yeah. That's not my thing. Yeah.
Well, we talk about it. We have this idea that we, you know, somehow, and maybe this is especially women, and even if you're a mother, maybe even more so, that we have to be able to do this ourselves. And if we're not doing this by ourselves, and we're not managing everything by ourselves, then somehow we're not enough. We're in deficit. We're not as good as everybody else. And then we look at other people's lives and think, well, look at so-and-so. Clearly they've got it together, or maybe so-and-so's just got a good Instagram account. But we have this idea that we need to be able to do everything on our own. And what happens is instead of staying with what we're good at and what we really love, we end up getting pulled in all these different directions, whether it's masks and crap that we have piled inside ourselves, the stuff we have in our home, the way we go out into the world. And if we would only say, you know what, this is what I'm good at. This is where I need help.
Yeah.
And bring that help in. I mean, that is transformational. And then when we lift other people up, or we let other people lift us up, everybody does better. And when we let go of this idea of competition, like, well, I can't possibly, try that because someone does it better, or I can't, I need to be able to figure this out myself. Like, honestly, I think I should just go and watch about 20 hours of YouTube videos and, figure out how to power up my house. And I'm going to spend 30 hours of my time. And then I'm not sure or I could value my time and say, no, I'm going to spend 2 super effective hours with an expert. And and it's the same with working with me. Yeah, there is nothing that I am going to teach you that is not already out there in the universe. You can go, I mean, you can go out and you can look at all of that. I can channel it in. I can bring it so it is about you. I can see the things in you. I know how to bring it out, but we have it in our heads. We got to do this by ourselves. And we've just been spinning our wheels at things that we aren't good at. So you and I could spend our time beating ourselves up because we can't organize paper well. Or we could,
Yeah.
spend some
Speaking
time.
of the entrepreneurial journey, I mean, seriously, isn't that one of the biggest things to learn? Is building a team and off-putting the things that you're not good at. I mean, it's one of the biggest things to learn.
Yeah, and I think being an entrepreneur really puts a laser focus on that. But I think anyone that is a huge gift to realize that you don't have to be good at everything, and it is all right to focus on, what lights you up.
Yeah.
And when you're being drained by the clutter in your life, by the lack of boundaries, by the relationships, by the conditioning that got put on you, and all, when you are being held down by all of that, you can't see your own light, and you can't dig it out. And when you get help, when you get support, then and the whole world does better when you do better. So you might think it's noble to just, oh, it's okay, I'm all right over here, don't worry about me. But you're not doing the world any favors. You're not doing your family, your friends, people you love. You're not doing them any favors to stay small.
No.
The
world. And if there was ever a time that we're all needed, it's right now.
God damn it. Yeah, we need strong, empowered women who are comfortable in their power.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yes.
If we were all like, I am good with who I am, and this is where I stand, and this is what I'm great at, and look at the women around us and say, this is you, and you are great at this, and we don't have to compete. We can be fabulous as ourselves and celebrate each other and not knock each other down to feel better about ourselves.
Yeah.
And God, the world needs that right now.
That is for sure. That's for sure. I wish I knew who was saying hi, ladies. I don't know who that is.
I know. I see the highs, guys. We can't see your names. It's this app I'm using in my ever-going quest to sort of.
This is a great app. Does anybody have a question? Oh, look, I'm gonna sneeze.
Yeah, I can't even put it in. Oh, do you know what I can do? Is I can go in through my phone because technology. Let me just turn down the light, see who they are and see who has questions. But yeah, if you have a question, put it in the chat. I mean, we're so far the beautiful ladies. So, I mean, I'll take that. All right. Where are we here? So, I mean.
Oh, I see. It's Kim and Christine. Okay. That's all I could see. And then then I lost that. Okay.
Oh, Christine. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, guys.
All right. Say, this is you. And you oh God. No, I'm listening to my voice. Okay. Stop it. Ask questions. There we go. We watched Beth do this, and she seamlessly look. You see how my name came up because I'm signed in. So if you tell StreamYard your name, we can see who you are. And it's like they don't ask for your soul or anything. It's just a really friendly little interface. So, as I work through this path of technology, I'm trying different things, working, with different software and stuff. So I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with this one, but this is how it works. Oh my God. I keep turning myself on over here and I don't, oh no, that sounded wrong.
Yeah. I've never used this one, StreamYard. It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, like I said, it's a good tool. The interface is really easy, but I might try something else. Okay. So without any questions, let's talk about things like your front door. You talk about the front door really being the way all the energy comes into your house. Yeah. And I always thought that was really interesting because right now my front hall closet, because we've had 2 more people move in, has spilled out into the hall, onto the landing, and it's mostly shoes.
Yeah. Well, it's the mouth of chi as it speaks. It's the mouth of energy that comes into your house, all the good stuff. So it's important to be beautiful and clean and clear and decluttered and no leaves and cobwebs. Well, I guess there's a lot of cobwebs right now because they're
cobwebs are okay.
No Easter wreaths or anything like that on it. And it's important, that one of the things that I teach about is stand at the street and look at your house and what does it say about the people in there?
So what would you say to someone who's, because I know there's a couple of moms here with multiple kids and, trying to stay clean and orderly when you've got kids running around is kind of like snow shoveling during a blizzard is the analogy that people will give.
Yeah.
And I know when my kids were little, if someone said I needed to keep everything clear and clean and pretty, I would have thrown up my hands and said, well, that's never going to happen for me. I'm just going to give up trying now. So what would you say to somebody who's like, I've got other people in this house. I can't maintain everything all the time.
It's true, because I had 3 of them by myself here, and I understand that. I wish that I would have done what you were talking about before back then, which is pay a professional to get systems into place and train everybody, because you would save so much time and effort and energy if just to have an organized front hall. I had a client that had one of those completely beautifully designed cubbies, coats, books, like for each kid, and multiple shoes, and it was amazing. And they came and went out of that area, and it was, I thought, and she had really intense ADD, and her mother had set that up, and it was just like a godsend. I can't imagine how much time and energy and frustration that they saved by having systems in place. And I can't believe I'm even talking about this. This isn't my forte, but it's so important when we're in a culture where we have so much stuff. I always want people to get rid of stuff. When you've got little kids, there's stuff, and there's more stuff than anybody's ever had than the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. There's just more stuff. We even have stores to sell us stuff, to organize the stuff that we don't even need to be keeping. That's intense. But it's also important to have systems, or we're not designed, I don't think, as a species to be this complicated with everything. That's what I believe. I believe that it's time to let go of a lot of the stuff and just simplify. We're seeing that. There's huge moves to do that.
Yeah, I think people are just starting at some point. You feel the weight of all the stuff.
Yes.
And it's like, is this, this whatever, does this represent me? Is this something that I want to remember, or do I need this to remember what I need to, or is this something that actually serves a purpose in my life and needs to be sitting here on my counter? And what would serve, is there a way to do this with less fuss? Because when it's simplified, then you spend less time trying to maintain it, or you don't have to go in periodically and go, oh my God, this is out of control again, and shove everything into corners till it gets unruly again.
Yeah.
So what other common things, what other things do you see a lot of, or that, if you could say, if someone says, all right, Tandy, I'm not sure about this, but what would you say your top 3 pieces of information that you wish everybody knew were? Around
business, or where feng shui, or what?
Let's just say this is your life advice. This is one of those relationship quizzes, it's like, all right, if you could tell people 3 what are the, not even necessarily with coaching, but just what were 3 things you wish you could tell people that they would hear?
I think
And you could,
really, I think I could get it in one with three different things. Be intentional with people, places, and things. Be intentional. What you listen to, what you ingest, and who you surround yourself with. Take stock of the items that are around you. They have a vibration, they have a feel, they have memories. Be intentional about every aspect of your life.
that's good.
I think that, that's part of the things that I see that really holds people back. If it's not their office, oftentimes it's people. They'll keep people around that don't have their best interest at heart. They'll keep people around that are keeping them down because it feels familiar.
Well, we have this tendency to stay with a low level pain because it's easier to stay, and even a moderate level of pain, we will stay there because the thought of change and moving on to something different is terrifying. So people will put up with things that from the outside seem incomprehensible. And it's just because the idea of moving on is just, it becomes overwhelming. And again, that comes back to get support. Find your tribe, find people who will help you. And I did.
Stop tolerating. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Stop tolerating what doesn't work and people that don't work. It's that old adage of the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. Sometimes people just stay, with the devil they know.
Yeah, and it's sad, it's understandable, but I think it's also not realizing that you have the resources. People have a lot more resources and a lot more resiliency, a lot more creativity, a lot more intuition than they think they do.
Yeah.
They get buried under their own emotional stuff, their own physical stuff, and then they can't see into that bright light that is themselves anymore. And then they settle. And then 10 years go by and they lift their head up and it's like, how did I get here? This isn't what I was going to be. I mean, you talk to any child, any 5-year-old child and, ask them what they want to be. None of them are going to say, well, I want to be in credit card debt, in an unhappy marriage, in a house that I hate, doing a job that makes me want to bang my head against the wall. I mean, none of them say that.
Yeah. That's about taking responsibility for yourself and your choices. The earlier, the better.
Yeah, just somewhere, the conditioning gets piled on and the societal expectations get piled on, and we are ourselves, we become narrower and narrower and think we just, well, I just couldn't possibly do that. I can't possibly do that. That's ridiculous. And, who are you not to do those things? This is like, you get one life. That's it. This is not a rehearsal. This is your life.
Yeah.
And we all go into the same destination. There is only one end game, and we all get to go there. But what do you want to do before you get there? Do you want to live a life where you're settling, where you're, well, this low-grade pain, it's okay. It's okay. I'm okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be fine. It's easy for so-and-so to do it.
You have to figure out your urgency to no longer tolerate what it is.
Yeah.
You have to uncover your urgency and not swirl around in it. Yeah.
And that's, working with someone is a real big, a whole lot of clarity on what your issues are. Because since I've been working with coaches, like when I started this whole coaching program that we're in, this corner used to be the junk corner in my room, and I would kind of try to pop something behind me so that you couldn't tell all the junk that was back here.
Yeah.
And
metaphor usually for other things.
You think?
Yeah. I mean, but that's like, it is that your house is the blueprint for your life. Your office is the blueprint for your life. And that is a work in progress. Staying connected to that outer manifestation of the inner world.
And I think too, we overestimate what we can do in, a month, but take a year at something. And when you look back at, like, and especially if you're finding some way to leave little markers of things that you've done, you can look back in a month, 6 months, and just go, I can't believe that's where I was, and this is where I am. And then know that you keep working on yourself. You keep working on, your surroundings, the things that are in front of you, the things you keep staying a little uncomfortable, that in 6 months from this point, you're going to look back at where you are now and go, oh my God, I can't believe I settled for that. And that's the way it keeps going. This is what growth is like. We tend to assume that when things are really good, that this is just temporary, this is going to go away. And when things are not good, we assume that this is forever. I'm never getting out of this. I mean, nobody like stands in front of, say, a sunset or a waterfall or whatever and say, this is what it's going to be like forever now. I mean, we know these things pass. And it's like, we should appreciate this. But when we get depressed or we feel run down or we feel just like the weight of the world, it's harder to remember that won't last either, that we're going to get back up. But like I said, it's this tolerating this low grade or moderate grade or even more pain than we thought we could, because we don't think it's going to change. We don't think that we're going to be able to make any difference in our lives. And, left on our own, maybe we won't. With a bit of help, then absolutely you can. So that's my soapbox thing on that.
Okay. Okay. I don't think we have any questions over here. So it doesn't look like it. I could see somebody else saying hello. We have a couple of people that are.
I know, it's great that people say hi. Yeah. I love that. But here, so what we'll do is I'll put stuff in the chat and I'll respond to people. And if you give me I can't remember how to say it.
The Bagua?
Bagua. Okay. We'll put that up. And then you've got a training coming up in your group.
Yeah. Yeah. The Power Tribe. Yeah. The Power Tribe. Yeah. It's the Monetize Your Office method. It's next Monday through Friday, every day at 5 o'clock. It's going to be a little shorter, not a full hour this time. More like, 30 to 40 minutes, something like that. We're going to be talking about all these different things around coaching and your space and how to use your office to monetize your business and what to do once we get that into place and how to create a path to prosperity. We've got all kinds of fun things to talk about. So I would love to have you there. And I hope you're there. Yeah, I love that. I love when I see you there. Yes, so thank you for having me here. And I'll keep an eye out for here. So, and tag me if somebody asks a question or something. I would be happy to come back and answer any questions or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll give you the link to the Bagua.
That would be great. All right, Tandy. Well, thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for watching. And if you catch this on the replay, just put a hashtag replay and ask your questions.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so I will catch you guys later.